Thank God is probably what you're all thinking right now, myself included, because frankly, I am ready to end this marathon, and I think even the people who wanted this marathon have had enough. We're down to the last Platinum game released so far from early 2017, and it's once again a hack and slasher, but with a little bit of a twist. Instead of moving from one stage to the next and upgrading your abilities, what we have here is an action RPG that, as well as Platinum Games, was also made by Square Enix, the creators of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, the RPG Kings. NieR Automata gave us a vast open world to explore and a heavily expanded story that we hadn't seen in any of Platinum's games prior. And this is actually a sequel to 2010's NieR, which was in itself a spin-off of the Drakengard series. And from what I understand of the original NieR, it was received quite poorly, and you can very much tell just by looking at the gameplay footage.
Weiss, you alright?
Naturally. I'm as fit as a bit.
Yoko Taro is the man in charge of these games. I had never heard of him until now, but apparently he likes to tell his stories unconventionally and make them really dark, exploring the inner demons within humanity. And that because he's camera shy, he often wears this creepy mask to interviews and press conferences, but in case you're interested, boom, that's what he looks like. I've not played NieR before or any of the Drakengard titles, but from what I've gathered for NieR Automata, it has very few callbacks to the original NieR, so anybody who's looking to play Automata shouldn't have to worry about missing any important plot details. I believe that's true because I managed to follow the plot okay for the most part, so let's talk about that. But before we do that, there's something I want to address first. I think it's very difficult, if not impossible, to give my full opinion on NieR Automata without going into major spoilers. Part of the game's biggest aspects is the unusual storytelling, so cutting that out of the review or giving you spoiler warnings would just give you a very basic idea on what NieR Automata is like as a video game. All I can really say without giving anything plot related away is that you run around these large areas destroying onslaughts of robots big and small, and you can accept side quests from NPCs to give you experience points and various items. If you have the money and the right materials, you're able to upgrade your weapons to make them hit harder, as well as your little robot buddy called a pod that can shoot for you while you're swinging your weapons. They can also perform special attacks that require a bit of cooldown time depending on how powerful it is, and they're not all great, but some can be pretty handy. There are also chips you can install into your limited space to give you additional perks, like increasing your strength or adding an extremely helpful shockwave to your attacks. Duplicate chips can also be fused together to create an even better chip, and if you know which ones to use, they can really lower the challenge. If all else fails though, you can always press both sticks to self-destruct and massively damage your opponents, but it does put you on the verge of death, so be very cautious if you're gonna blow yourself up, because damn it does it suck when you die. If or when that happens, you need to get back to where your body is and grab your chips again, otherwise they're gone for good if you don't make it on time or you die. Anyone who's played Dark Souls will know exactly how infuriating that is, and it's no different here. Most of the gameplay is pretty standard RPG stuff, but that's as far as I can go without ruining the story, and this is still a relatively new game, so if you don't want anything spoiled for you, then stop watching this video now, because how the story plays out is part of NieR Automata's full experience. Once you finish the game, you're more than welcome to come back to this video and see what I think, but for now, I'll say again, if you don't want spoilers, then stop watching this video. If you're still here, then let's begin, because I've got stuff to talk about. In the far, far future is an ongoing war with an army of machines from another world that were built by aliens who are now no longer alive. In this post-apocalyptic Earth, humans have been transported to the moon and sent down a group of android combatants called Yorha to fight the machines and restore Earth to its normal self. Our main protagonists are 2B and her newly appointed partner, 9S, a scanner android. Don't ask me why they like to wear blindfolds, because your guess is as good as mine. Yorha were built with no emotions or personalities, but I'll tell you now that's a load of horseshit, because even though some of them like 2B and the commander of Yorha can be rather cold, there are also androids like 9S who just wants to be friends with 2B, as well as 2B's operator who breaks down into tears after one of the fellow Yorha members rejects her invitation to go out with her. Sorry about that. Anyway, 2B and 9S are given multiple tasks to stop the machines from doing any more harm, and they come across plenty of wacky characters and scenarios. There's a rotted but heavily guarded castle where you'll meet a rogue Yorha member known as A2. You'll become acquainted with the resistance that consists of androids from before the destruction of Earth and want to fight back. There's the small band of robots that don't want to fight and try to make peace. And there are the two primary antagonists, Adam and Eve, twin humanoids who mainly just want to be dicks and create chaos. In hindsight, this plot doesn't sound terribly deep for an RPG, and for a huge chunk of the game it really isn't. But then you'll see that the game ends after only around 9 hours, with a message after the credits encouraging you to play the game again. You continue your save file and see that instead of taking control of 2B like you did before, you're now switching to 9S and going through the story again from his perspective. And that's when you realize it's taking the Sonic Adventure route of storytelling, where you'll need to complete all sides of the plot before you get to the grand finale. 2B is Route A, 9S is Route B, and eventually you'll have access to to Route C, where the plot continues, with tons of different endings, 26 to be exact, commonly known as endings A to Z. Now don't worry, there's no morality system or anything like that. Most of the endings can be unlocked by either failing or just flat out ignoring the plot important objectives. Even committing murder will give you one of the endings. In fact, canonically, you only need to know about endings A through E, but even ending C is debatable, whereas the rest of them just laugh at your failures and send you back to the title screen. You had better be sure to save before unlocking any of the endings, otherwise if you made a lot of progress, you'll have to do it again. And the game stresses that there's no auto-saving, so please for the love of God save as often as you can. As for going through the same story again, granted it's not entirely the same adventure as before, as 9S and 2B do split up a few times in order to help each other out, but throughout a large portion of it, they're together, and it essentially feels like you're playing through the game twice. This is easily the weakest part of the game for me, and it takes a lot out of you to go through this entire thing again. 9S is a little different from 2B when it comes to gameplay. He can only wield one weapon at a time, unlike 2B who was able to carry two, but he's able to hack into the robots by playing this geometric shooting minigame where a successful hack causes some heavy damage to the enemy you just hacked, as well as surrounding damage to enemies nearby. Hacking can also be done to open chests that 2B couldn't open before, and rarely will you take control of different machines as well. It's a breath of fresh air at first to 2B's hacking and slashing, but this minigame does get old very quickly, and unfortunately you have to do it a lot in this game. I'd rather use multiple weapons that I can swap to spice the gameplay up a little. Though hacking's especially useful for taking down the harder bosses, and with a few of them, we could even delve into their psyche to make you feel for them a little more. For example, with a carnival boss named Beauvoir, 9S can see that she's constantly changing her appearance because her supposed boyfriend only cares about beauty. But even after adjusting her looks for so long to the point of becoming unrecognizable, he still won't look at her in the eye or tell her that she's pretty. This has put her into a nasty combination of rage, frustration, and depression, and it's interesting that while I didn't see it that way while playing as 2B, I suddenly feel a lot more guilty killing Beauvoir while playing as 9S. I wanted more moments like that in NieR Automata, but a huge problem I have is that the story doesn't start picking up until you begin Route C, which is around 16 to 18 hours in. By that point, 2B kills Adam and she and 9S confront Eve afterwards. But while 9S was hacking Eve in order to defeat him, he's been infected with an unfixable virus, forcing 2B to strangle him. Luckily, all of 9S's data was saved onto the machine network so that he can transfer it to a new body. And the endings for Routes A and B temporarily put him in this large machine, but I guess during Route C they had a spare vessel that looks exactly like him. Before 9S helped 2B fight Eve though, the commander of Yorha informs him that there aren't actually any humans on the moon. It was just a dummy server to give Yorha a purpose in life and not lose morale, but the human race has really been extinct for a very long time. And 2B is a Yorha type that's meant to kill anybody who finds out the truth and wipe their memories from the network so that they can continue fighting. It's a pretty big bombshell, but I suppose 9S believes there are more important matters right now when he performs a standard server sync to keep Yorha's data in check, but he notices a bug in the system and stops the synchronization for him and 2B. The deaths of Adam and Eve have caused a lot of problems with the machine network and Earth, so 2B, 9S, and the rest of Yorha suit up and head down there to find out what's going on. However, after destroying some machines and banding with some of the Yorha groups, another virus has spread to the androids, this time turning them hostile, with only 2B and 9S left. It turns out that the bug 9S encountered was a hole in Yorha's defensive servers, and since he and 2B didn't fully complete their syncing, while the virus isn't entirely gone, it has at least prolonged the inevitable. The two of them report back to the commander, but she's revealed to be on the verge of becoming infected too, so she orders 2B and 9S to leave the bunker before she blows it up and no more harm can be done. 2B and 9S use their flight units to get away, but are now being attacked by infected Yorha, leading to their separation and 2B's virus finally kicking in as soon as she lands. She struggles to make it to her destination, but she comes across A2 again and asks her to complete her mission while uploading her memories into her sword, because she can do that now. A2 then kills 2B, putting her out of her misery, but 9S comes in at the wrong time, thinking that A2 killed her in cold blood. A large tower rises from the ground afterwards, and now we can alternate who we want to focus on between A2 and 9S. A2 pretty much plays identically to 2B. She can equip two weapons unlike 9S, but instead of being able to self-destruct, she enters Berserk mode, which increases her attack power at the cost of draining her health. So like with self-destructing, I didn't really use it because I didn't want to risk losing all of my awesome chips. A2's part of the story has her help the leader of the peacekeeping robots named Pascal escort the children to a safe location, while 9S looks for a way to override the locks to get inside the tower. A2 manages to help Pascal and the robot children get to an abandoned factory, but a swarm of machines is now heading towards them. Pascal takes control of a transformer and proceeds to beat the crap out of the army's commander, but while stepping back inside afterwards to see if the children are okay, we find that they've actually killed themselves due to an overgrown amount of fear and emotion which Pascal taught them for situations like this. Feeling entirely responsible, he asks A2 to either wipe his memories or kill him, or he can just leave him with his guilt. I personally went with wiping his memories. I wouldn't want something like that on my conscience. Meanwhile, during 9S's adventures, while searching for one of the tower's locks, he finds a document explaining that the tower is a weapon aiming for the moon's server, and once all of the locks have been hacked, 9S fends off against another wave of machines with some assistance from these twin androids called Devila and Popola. I've been sort of glancing past these two, but after 9S witnessed 2B's death, the bridge he was standing on broke apart, and Devila and Popola are the ones that rescue him and take him back to the Resistance camp. However, some of the Resistance members seem to be talking down at them and speak as if they'd done something horribly wrong. And it's at this point, when you get into the tower, do you find out that they're the last surviving twin androids. And we're also the ones that ended the human race, because I guess they went on a mass genocide or something? I don't know, it's never fully explained, and I wish they would have elaborated on something that shocking. But this is why everyone in the camp shuns them, so Devila and Popola have been taking the time to try and make amends, and they believe that helping 9S would at least be a start. Both 9S and A2 get inside the tower and learn that the virus attack was planned to keep Yorha from downing their motives and put them in a never-ending cycle of war. After a long way in, the two finally cross paths with 9S now fully infected with the virus, and we have the ultimate showdown. This is where the player can choose who to control with radically different endings. But this is also why I think it's debatable which is the true ending between endings C and D. Ending C is unlocked by controlling A2 and defeating 9S, where afterwards she dives into his mind and cures the virus within him. When A2 comes back to reality, she then orders her pod unit to transport 9S to safety, while she for some reason stays behind as she causes the tower to crumble, and then the game ends. Ending D, on the other hand, plays out if you pick 9S during the final battle, where both him and A2 gruesomely kill each other, but in 9S's last moments, his AI informs him that the tower was not a cannon meant to destroy the human server, but it actually fires an arc containing the machine's memories, including those of Adam and Eve, to be transported to a new world. And I want to complain about something here, but this on top of Devila and Popola's backstory should not have been entrusted to paragraphs of text. I think something this important should be played in cutscenes. It's very similar to how I felt about some of the audio tapes in Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't mind doing a bit of reading as long as it's flavor text, but chances are players will just skim through this because they won't think it's that important to read. You just finished a heavy RPG that took around 25 hours to get through. Why would we care to read anything at this point? Secondly, I would argue that ending D is the true ending because it has a bit more closure than ending C does, and even though putting pivotal plot points in huge chunks of text wasn't the wisest decision, this ending at least gives you something to think about. Ending C doesn't really do anything like that. I'd actually say it's kind of anticlimactic, and continuity-wise, I feel that watching ending E after the credits makes more sense while you're playing through ending D. By the by, I think it's almost impossible to not die during this mandatory shooting section beforehand. I had to request assistance for this part because good lord, look how many bullets are on the screen. Am I playing NieR Automata or Ikaruga? Anyway, the ending has the pod units discuss that 2B's, 9S's, and A2's data are still intact and their bodies could be reconstructed. However, this would mean that they'll forget everything that's happened in this entire game. This is after the player overwrites their save, by the way, and when this ending's unlocked, you start back at square one. All of your progress, experience points, items, and chips have been wiped clean, so if you don't want to lose all of that hard work, you put that save file in a USB stick or PS Plus's online storage, anything. I tried putting multiple saves in different slots, but nope, they thought of that too, much to my everlasting dismay. I imagine this was done to keep in spirit with the story of constant battle rotation, but that's still a dick move. So my big question is, why does this ending make more sense when you take control of 9S in the final battle? By that point, he becomes infected with a virus and basically becomes the villain, whereas A2 just wants to prevent the human's data from being destroyed. She's the real hero, I find, and I thought I would get the true ending by stopping 9S, but no, she just gets brushed aside with no proper conclusion. Now 9S does have a perfectly good reason for turning evil. You know, seeing your friend get killed and finding out that you were in repeated wars for nothing will do that to someone. But he's also blinded with rage and revenge, to the point of wanting to destroy everything, so naturally I would have thought I needed to stop him, and then it turns out it wasn't the right decision, to which I say, what the hell? Do you see how much story there is in this last route though? Quite the upgrade, isn't it? And it can be pretty interesting a lot of the time, but why does it take so goddamn long to get going? There's not a lot that happens in the first 8 to 9 hours, and the middle of the game is just a slog to play through, and aside from 9S, A2, and a couple of Yorha androids, these are not very engaging characters to me, and this sadly also goes for 2B. I love her design, but as a character, she's a complete blank slate. I get that she's supposed to be this emotionless bitch who doesn't care about anyone, but could you at least make her an entertaining emotionless bitch that doesn't care about anyone? You know, like GLaDOS from the Portal games. She got so much joy watching you struggle with her tests, and she was very witty and funny. 2B just doesn't quite do the same for me. And I get why she acts like, well, a robot. It's so she can prevent other Yorha units from finding out about the humans' extinction and losing morale, thus saving her having to kill her comrades. But I think it would have been more impactful if she tried to have a close connection with 9S and we see the relationship grow. As it stands, I didn't become invested in her until she had to strangle 9S and she's holding his dead body close to her while she cries. But even that moment feels a little undeserved for how much of a stick in the mud 2B was beforehand. Nevertheless, I still felt bad for her in the end, especially when she kicks the bucket later, so I guess there was something good about 2B, I just can't quite put my finger on it. And I didn't mind 9S as a character, but that's only after he finds out the truth about the moon server. Before then, he's a whiny smartass and pretty desperate to get into 2B's panties, though I don't know how that would work anyway, since the androids don't seem to have genitalia. That won't stop the machines from trying to have sex though. You are looking at this correctly, there's a robot orgy going on. Out of all the videos I've done for this channel, I never thought I would have to write robot orgy in any of my scripts. Japan is a weird place. Anyway, if you trim some of the fat for Route A and cut out Route B entirely, I think the flow of the game would have been fine. Sure, it would have been shorter, but there would be far less padding than there is right now. It's really only a major issue when you take control of 9S, but at that point, the pacing slows down to a freaking crawl. Portions of NieR Automata physically and mentally drained me. I got so exhausted playing through 9S's story, and even going through some of Route C became tiring after a while. A2 spends a lot of time with Pascal in his village, and the process of unlocking the tower and finally stepping foot in it takes about as long as watching a Godfather movie, maybe half of another one on top of it. Side quests have the same tedious go fetch this item and bring it here or go kill these enemies objectives, with the very rare one bringing anything of substance, like collecting Emil's memories, and this tough secret boss fight against his clones after finishing that quest and fully upgrading every single weapon in the game. Let me tell you, that was a pain in the ass to do, because it can only be done if he approaches the resistance camp, which he won't do until you locate his home first, and it's not the most obvious spot by the way. And for whatever reason, you need to steal his stuff and trigger a boss fight with him. Only then will he sell you the rest of the weapons and the rare materials you need to access the second super boss battle. But even so, you also have to make sure you catch him in the right spot, otherwise he'll just have upgraded chips for sale. There was a lot of back and forth trying to fully complete NieR Automata, especially unlocking this hidden battle, which is a fun fight, but you'll need a lot of patience if you want to even attempt. While going through the story, I only completed about 2/5 of the total side quests and came back to them after finishing the campaign because I really couldn't be bothered a lot of the time and just wanted to carry on. Unfortunately, even after spending close to 45 hours on Automata, I only managed to complete 97% of the side quests because there was one that required me to kill 95% of the enemies in the game, and my patience wore thin at that point. I saw everything I needed to, and I didn't need to waste more time with this game than I already have. But doing the side quest will give you experience points, items, and chips, though some of these guys seem to be very fond of ripping you off, and they know they're doing it because they flat out state that it's not much and just expect you to accept it. These guys can be really stingy bastards, giving me low experience points and chips I've already got too many to count. Actually, let's talk about the chips for a second. Okay, so throughout the beginning of the game, you'll most likely need to rely on health recoveries to stay alive, because NieR Automata can be fairly challenging at the start. Although I don't know if I maybe just got really lucky in this playthrough, but I kept getting auto-heal chips that gradually restore my health after a certain time, which I eventually upgraded to get me back to full health really quickly. But I also had chips where I would get some health back every time I killed an enemy, which I also upgraded to pretty much get me back to full health. With chips like those and others like the shockwave attacks I mentioned early in this review, as well as the perfect evade chip that's this game's witch time ability, you're practically unstoppable. It's so easy to break this game in half. I mean, enemies will still dogpile on you sometimes, but if I'm able to defeat enemies 5 or 6 levels above me, there may be something wrong with the balancing. Chips are pretty abundant as well, so there's bound to be at least something that'll suit your playstyle, and I'm sure late in the game you'll have tons of cash to spend on fusing better chips and upgrading your weapons. As long as you keep picking up precious materials like machine cores, you'll be rolling in the dough. By the time I got to Route C, I managed to max out on all of my healing items except for full recoveries, and I still had plenty left to spend. But I also already fused and upgraded what I could. I even got a chip from Devila and Popola that negated me having to keep stopping every time I wanted to pick up an item. I could just walk over them now and have them draw towards me. Having said that, it doesn't stop NieR Automata's world from being very spacious and somewhat desolate aside from the machines you can kill and the occasional wildlife you can ride for faster travel speed. This is especially apparent in the desert area. Look at how much walking there is here. Thankfully, after your first battle with Adam and Eve, this Resistance member called Jackass, very nice name, will allow you to fast travel to different save points and make the side quest a less arduous task. But even still, you may find that the combat doesn't really expand outside of the few combos each character can muster up. Sadly, there aren't any chips that grant you more fighting styles like in Bayonetta, or hell, even Mutants in Manhattan, and the chip system does a fine enough job as it is, but fighting robots does get a bit mind-numbing the further you get into the game. With something like Kingdom Hearts, I loved improving Sora's combat abilities, watching him grow over time and become so skilled with the Keyblade, because since I was in control, I felt like I was growing with him. But unfortunately, you don't get quite the same feeling with NieR Automata. It also doesn't help that the enemy variety is surprisingly laughably small for an RPG. They may understand the term strength in numbers, but I swear there are only like 5 or 6 different enemies in the whole game, and you need way more than that to keep a 20 to 40 hour action RPG interesting. Again, I call back to Kingdom Hearts and the plethora of different Heartless. If the scenery and graphics weren't so gorgeous and the music wasn't so perfect at setting the mood, I probably would have been on autopilot throughout my time with this, though the occasional frame rate dip on the PS4 version did break the immersion a little. Then again, I have come back to this game after finishing the story to complete any remaining side quests and upgrade anything I could, so I don't know, this is a really strange case. There are definitely things wrong with NieR Automata, no doubt about that, but for some reason it keeps suckering me in, making sure I do as much as I can. Thank God for this grinding spot, by the way. I'm not sure why this robot bunny in the amusement park gives you so many experience points for hacking and destroying him, but I managed to get to level 99 in no time flat because of him. It was one of the easiest RPGs I've played to get to maximum level. But yeah, I honestly have no idea why I like this game more than I probably should, given how much criticism I've been giving it. I even went out of my way to buy the DLC, which is nothing special really. There are extra side quests where you take part in multiple Coliseum battles in different areas, and well, you can get hair dye if you win some of them. I went with purple to start with for 2B, and I didn't realize it would make her look like Hit Girl from Kick-Ass. But the main reason I bought this was because I had to show off the special boss battles against Yusuke Matsuda, the CEO of Square Enix, who's later joined by Kenichi Sato, the head of Platinum Games. I had this guy to thank for this marathon, and here I am beating the hell out of him. But damn it, these two are gonna make sure I play more of their games. I kinda wiped the floor with them because I was at level 99 at this point, but they seem pretty powerful for a couple of geezers in business suits. I know that there are also different costumes for the 3 main characters based on the Japanese exclusive NieR Replicant, and I like A2's Destroyer outfit, but I'm not a fan of 9S's young man getup. And 2B's is just, whoa boy! What, did she give up dressing herself halfway through? Where'd the rest of her clothes go? This game seems to really like 2B's butt as well. If you cause her to self-destruct, her skirt gets destroyed until you transport yourself, which is a little funny seeing 2B run around and fight robots in her underwear, but obviously it's Japan and that wasn't the intention. As cool as the extra fights in the DLC are, I do think spending $14 on it is asking a bit much, especially since there's not much else worthy other than these Coliseum battles. If you want to try them out and have an excuse to continue playing this game, then go for it, but otherwise you're probably best saving your money. I realize that I did have a number of negative things to say about this game, but I definitely don't consider NieR Automata to be bad. Games I would classify as bad are ones like Anarchy Reigns, The Legend of Korra, or Mutants in Manhattan because they either have boring, repetitive, and or frustrating gameplay, or they bring nothing new to the table and somehow worsen what was already fine. NieR Automata doesn't fall in any of those categories. It's a perfectly good game, hell even a great game at points. And yeah, it does have its share of flaws, but I had similar feelings about this from when I played The Wonderful 101. Despite its problems, there's something very engaging about this game's universe. The story behind it can be rather intriguing, and the world may have a lot more space than it really needs, but I won't deny that it's a rather peaceful game. Outside of boss fights and occasional shooting segments in your flight units, even when you're fighting machines partly thanks to the music, it's still calm and lovely. My only major gripe about NieR Automata is the middle when you're playing as 9S. There was no need for it, and I didn't want to play through the entirety of Route A again just for less than a handful of new sections. But when the story does finally pick up, it's pretty good. I'm not saying that 2B's story isn't interesting either, but you can tell it was only meant to act as a prologue of some sort for Route C, and that route is where the game truly shines in my opinion. So if you think you have the patience for it, I'd definitely say pick this game up. Both routes A and C are very fun to play, but just prepare to be bored and a little tired when you reach Route B, and outside of a few side quests, you're best leaving those alone. The high points are very high, but the low points can be difficult to ignore. There's no way in hell I'm playing this again anytime soon, that's for sure. I have a feeling this is very much a one and done game for me. NieR Automata does get some prominent praise though, and I think there's some amazing stuff in here, but it certainly doesn't win my Best Game of 2017 award. Then again, compared to Breath of the Wild and Persona 5, was it ever going to?
You hear that? Yeah,
There's absolutely nothing, because we don't have any more Platinum games to go through. We're finally done. Oh, geez, it only took me a whole damn year to finish this marathon, but we did it. It's finally over. Oh, man, that was the longest marathon I've ever done, but I hope that those of you who voted for it back in 2015 got what you wanted, and I hope it was at least still entertaining to those who didn't. Now, when am I going to get to the Devil May Cry series, which won second place? Pfft, who knows, but I am definitely taking a break from marathons for a while, and I dare say I'm going to be coming back to Platinum games sometime soon. We got Bayonetta 3 announced a few months ago, the first 2 games recently came out on Switch, and of course I had to get them, and we've also got another RPG currently known as Grand Blue Fantasy Project Relink. Jesus, that's a mouthful. But that already looks amazing just from the art style and gameplay video alone. I quite look forward to that one. This has been one hell of a marathon, I've gotta say. I can always rely on Platinum to give me something fast, energetic, and full of style. And they may not all be great or even good games, but most of them do have some redeeming quality to them. I will always be a supporter of Platinum's work, and I look forward to their future projects, even if they have been keeping it fairly safe in recent years aside from NieR Automata and somewhat Star Fox Zero. Here's hoping that Bayonetta 3 and Grand Blue turn out well and Platinum will continue to stay strong. So then, what's next now that the marathon's over? Well, as much as I didn't want to go back to another franchise so soon, I do need to get the Kingdom Hearts ball rolling before 3 comes out later this year, so we will be taking a look at Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I'll be mainly using the PS2 remake for reference, but I will quickly go over the original Game Boy Advance release as well. With that said, I'll catch you guys later. But I hope that those of you who voted for it back in 2015 got... Oh, piss off, no! That was such a good take! Who's giving me email? Oh, it's Nintendo newsletter. No, go away, I don't want that!